Welcome, everyone, to People on Dating. I'm your host, Will Morales. And for those of you who are tuning in for the first time, this podcast is about the ups and downs of dating and how to navigate through it. Today, my guest is Michael Swerdloff. Did I get your last name right?
Swerdloff, yes.
Cool. Today's topic is about toxic and healthy masculinity. Let me tell you a little bit about Michael. He has been a counselor, a coach, a social worker, community organizer, educator, writer, DJ, Reiki Master. Did I get that right? Reiki?
Reiki, Reiki.
Reiki Master for over 25 years. He laughs often, hugs deeply, and practices meditation, Reiki, yoga, and dance data, which I love. His memoir, Raised by Wolves, Possibly Monsters, From Mobster to Reiki Master, was launched in October of 2024, and there it is. Michael, thank you so much for being on People on Dating. How are you, sir?
I am doing well. Thanks for inviting me, Will, and so looking forward to our conversation.
No, me too. And today's a good topic. It's about toxic and healthy masculinity. Michael, it seems that masculinity has been under attack depending on what social media platform you on, whether it's YouTube, Instagram, all these things. Let's get right into it. First of all, before we do that, tell us a little bit about yourself. What was that journey like? You're an author, you were a counselor, coach, social worker, you've done it all. What was that journey like for you to get here to today?
Thank you for asking. Great question. And so, what I want to start with sharing, because again, if we're talking about masculinity, I'm going to keep it in that lane.
Sure, sure.
I grew up in a really violent home.
Mm,
All of the violence, older brother, father, uncles, everybody, it was all male. All of the violence were male. And um, when I think about this, what I think about the most was, besides the actual violence, was I was literally sat down by my brother and father and taught, literally given instructions on how to manipulate and exploit girls and women to get sex and how to get away with things in life. And I was literally told, all you have to do is, if you push long enough, eventually they're going to say yes to get rid of you. And it doesn't matter what you push for, they're going to say yes. And that did not mesh with what my mind, my body, and my spirit said was true.
right.
And I pushed against it, and I pushed against it, and I pushed against it. And a lot of things happened in my family. I mean, my father had a heart attack, died, got brought back to life. My parents had a divorce. We were the first family in our town to have a divorce. My mother had cancer and had both their breasts. This all happened in 1 year.
Wow.
And a few years after that, my brother went away to Broadway State Prison in New Jersey for, I think it was 6 or 8 counts of armed robbery. And he went away for a long time. And at the end of all of that chunk of time, all of the resistance I had to what the culture was saying, my family was saying, of how I should be a boy and a man and what I should do with girls and women, my resistance went away. And slowly but surely, I became one of them. And I could share more about that, but I'm going to just leave it there for now, is I became one of them. And it wasn't good for me. I mean, it's not good for anybody to hurt other people, but it wasn't good for me. There was a lot of shame, a lot of self-hate, a lot of drugs, a lot of alcohol, a lot of crime. And I ended up in a locked mental hospital in 1989 and got sober and clean and got involved in therapy and AA and outpatient groups and all of the things.
Mm,
And meditation entered stage left, Reiki entered stage right, and things began to change. And I had an amazing therapist early on at the time, Lorraine Hollier. She was incredible. Had an amazing spiritual counselor and Reiki master, Betsy Browder. So I had these two amazing women who entered my life. Now, I've left out my mother in all of this, besides her having breast cancer. And the piece that I want to share about her is she had to work really hard to survive everything that was happening.
mhm.
I always knew my mother loved me, so there wasn't a lack of love. She wasn't able to protect me, and it wasn't her job. And I want to be clear about that. So Lorraine came in, Betsy came in, had lots of new friends that were women, and they were sometimes forceful and sometimes gentle, but there was a lot of, Michael, we see something beautiful in you and you're a jerk, and we don't want you to be a jerk anymore.
Mm,
And those aren't their words, that's mine.
right.
So then the journey came along, growth, 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 little bits here, little there, forward, backward, sideways, and all of that. And at some point, it became really clear to me that there's lots of ways that I do this, but kind of my mission in the world is to help create safer spaces for women. And by doing that, that means work with men.
Right. Wow. I mean, first of all, Michael, that's big of you to come out and say how you were. If can you give us, if for my audience and your audience, would that be considered toxic, lying to them, trying to get them into bed? I mean, obviously it is, but what made you go that way at the beginning? I know you said that, you had your the family members tell you that, but did you see maybe at the beginning you were struggling with women and then you realized, well, let me try this part of it, of being someone that I'm not? Does my question make sense at all?
Can I reframe it to make sure I understand?
Sure, sure, sure.
Was there something that happened internally or externally that said, okay, your plan isn't working, Michael. Try their plan.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Well, there certainly was some of that. I mean, my brother and my father used to have fun making me know how many girls and women they were with.
Mm,
They did that on purpose as kind of a taunt to get me to step up and be more like them.
right.
But I can't blame them. It was still my choice. It was still my choice. So I had lots of girls that I was friends with. I always, I played sports my whole life, but I had lots of boys I was friends with and young men as I got older that I was friends with. But I always had lots of girls and women in my life. I always had lots of them. And
Mm,
as my internal strife got worse and worse and worse, I didn't know this at the time. I only was able to know this in retrospect, both from looking at images, photographs, and just how people were interacting with me. As I got deeper and later into my teens, I kind of physically became ugly.
mm.
And it affected how girls were around me.
Can you
And
talk about that a little bit more? Yeah, please.
um, I became the boy slash young man that all of the girls wanted to be around. I mean, I was a cool guy. I played sports. I was a DJ at all the major clubs in New York, New Jersey, and Philly,
Yeah.
and at colleges and stuff like that. I was that guy. I was a drug dealer. I always had the best cocaine. Like I was that guy that all of the women who were attracted to that kind of guy,
Mm.
I was that guy.
So you were the
And
bad
because
boy, so to speak. So, sorry, I mean to cut you off, Yeah.
no, you well, but I was the bad boy, but I wasn't. Like I
Right.
wasn't the bad boy that like walked down the street and would just laugh at people. I wasn't that kind of bad boy. I
Yeah.
was the bad boy that had big fat gold chains and dressed in expensive clothes and drove fancy cars. I was that kind of bad guy.
Yeah.
And what happened was as I was shifting, and like I said, I became physically unattractive, and I didn't know that happened until I knew it happened.
Mm.
And somewhere I lost my confidence around
Mm.
girls and women. And so there was all of these girls and women were flooding me with attention everywhere I went. And I say this kind of laughing is, and they were the girls that everybody wanted to be with. They were
Right.
those girls.
Right.
And somewhere between them being with me and the part of them actually being with me, I would fuck it up somehow.
Mm.
Like I can give a very specific one
Yes, please.
example. And I haven't talked about this one in years. I kind of forgot about it. So thank you for poking this. But I was dating this one. I was somewhere in my mid 20s at that point. I was dating and with this one young woman, and made a lot of sense for it to be a woman in my life. I'll just because I'm not going to talk bad about her.
Sure.
And she had a younger sister that was also gorgeous and also had a lot of those same qualities. And one night, me and the two of them ended up in my bed. And I got so overwhelmed and stimulated by all of this and not really knowing what to do. I literally took the air conditioner out of my window of my fourth floor apartment and threw it.
Wait a minute. Threw it where? You
Like
threw it
just to the
just
middle of the courtyard of my apartment complex.
wow.
I literally grabbed it and threw it. Like there was other times that I put a chair through a window. Like I would get so lost in this opportunity was right here in front of me,
Yeah.
and I would get so tangled that I had to do something big to ruin it. That's not what went through my head. I just did things.
Wow. Wait a minute. So it was just straight impulse that just made you do some of these things? I mean,
Yes, I was really
wow.
out of control, Will. One could blame it on the drugs and the alcohol, but that wouldn't be accurate. That doesn't mean there wasn't drugs and
Sure.
alcohol in my system. It really was that I was that high strung, I was that out of control of my emotions, and everybody else had to pay. And I want to tie together
Yeah.
what I just said with our conversation is when people ask me, what is toxic masculinity? This is what I answer.
Yeah.
When men don't know what to do with their thoughts, feelings, emotions, and thought patterns and behavior, and everybody has to pay, especially girls and women.
Right.
I did not know what to do with my emotions, so everybody in my life had to pay.
Jesus. When you did that with the air conditioner, what did the two sisters think? I mean, did they get more excited? Did they run out the house? Because that's a bad boy act.
Yes,
You
it is. And
know?
I would love to say that something big happened,
Right.
like that they had some big response. The one that I was already with, she was kind of numb to the world, therefore why she made sense in my life. She kind of got a trickle out of it and took her shirt off. I mean,
Y-
that was her response. Her younger sister's eyes were really big.
Right.
They were really big. Like I could see on her face, holy blank. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like,
Right. Right. Right.
what is it? She didn't make any, she also, they both still got in bed with me, but everything changed.
Okay. At that particular moment when you did that, did something trigger in you to say, wait a minute, I can't live like this anymore. This is something,
No,
that's a top. Okay. So, yeah. So please go on. Yeah, please.
no, no. I would love to say, because we're talking now 1984, 1985, and it wasn't until 1989 that I got clean and sober.
Wow.
So that was a bottom. And then I could list all the bottoms, but we won't get to what's happened afterwards. But
Sure.
that was a bottom, but it wasn't my bottom.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Being
No, go
shot
on.
at,
Yeah.
being
Oh,
shot at wasn't my bottom. Having a gun put to my head wasn't my bottom. Having somebody I robbed hired a hitman to attack me with a baseball bat, that wasn't my bottom. None of them were my bottom. My bottom was it just ran out of gas.
mm,
There was no big external thing that happened. It just ran out of gas. And like I said, I ended up in a locked mental hospital. There's more to this story.
sure.
And when I got out, I don't know that I learned anything, but what I came out with, I had been to jail in small stints, but had family members that were in long stints. I knew I didn't want to be in jail, and I didn't want to be in a locked mental hospital again. I didn't want anybody to ever be able to tell me what to do, what I can't do. I wanted I wanted control of my life. So I had already been in AA
Right.
and was quote unquote sober before the mental hospital, but I got locked up while sober. Debatable. I mean, there was no drugs and alcohol in my body, but I don't think I don't think trying to kill my girlfriend and trying to kill myself and have a cop chase me with a rifle. I don't think any of them count as sober behavior.
Right, right,
So
right.
I didn't get drugs or alcohol in my system, was in a locked mess hall. But when I came out, I did not want ever to give up control of my life to somebody else again. So I got really involved and I put in the effort.
So, all right. So you found your turning point. What were some of the steps that you took to get, let's say, your mind corrected, your soul, your body? What were some of those steps to get to healthy masculinity? We went through the toxic.
Yes.
How, so,
Yes.
so how did we get to the healthy part? Or how did you get to it? Because I mean, that's some story. I mean, Jesus. So please continue.
Thank you. So I can't move to any of the more subtle things until I circle back to
Yeah, sure.
meditation and Reiki. It
Okay.
was random as can be, if you will. It was is just divine intervention.
Hmm.
Is some one morning I woke up and in AA they in that all 12 step programs they talk about spirituality and meditation, but it's not really actually meditation. It's just paying attention and reflection, if you will. And I'm not judging it. I'm just saying it's not meditation. They don't teach you in AA how to do breathing. They don't teach you in AA those kind of things. And again, it's not a criticism. It's not what AA 12 step programs are for. It's not what their focus is. I just woke up one morning and knew somehow that I needed to learn how to meditate. Now, to let us know how much has changed in 35 years. Again, I'm still in New Jersey at this point. I couldn't find a bookstore that had books on meditation.
Mm,
Think about that for a second. Just,
that's
I don't want us
crazy.
to get lost here, but not Barnes and Noble, not B. Dalton, not Borders. Nobody had books on meditation. So I found this little weird, new age, creepy bookshop in New Hope, Pennsylvania that had somebody told me they had a meditation book there. So I drove 2 hours. I went there. I bought both books. Neither of them were that good in retrospect, but
Right.
they were books and they said to do blank and do blank. So I just started doing blank, not knowing if I was doing it right or if I was going to end up to be an axe murderer. I really had no clue. Just they told me to do they told me how to do meditation. I did the meditations. That was the first step. My brain started to slow down. My body started to slow down. And here's the key, because this actually answers your question. The key was I started noticing who I was and wasn't. Or
Mm,
more importantly, I started seeing things about myself that I didn't like. And some part of me knew I was better than that.
mm. So at that particular moment, all right. So one of the things I want to ask you, what was it about meditation that you heard about that you wanted to get into? Did you hear from someone else? Did you, um,
No,
okay.
that's the thing. That's why
Because,
I say it was divine. It's not like I
wow.
never heard the word meditation before. I mean, they
Yeah.
use it in AA and I heard it in therapy. You know what I mean? It's
Okay.
not like I never heard the word before, but the only time you saw it in pop culture was monks and nuns in
True,
monasteries and
true, true.
convents.
Yes. And
I
around
didn't,
our age. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Sorry. I didn't mean to
right.
cut you off. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
No, but you're fine. And there wasn't anybody like a regular dude or woman that did meditation. I didn't know anybody. So nobody told me about it. There was no great radio show. There was no TV show I saw at 3 in the morning that somebody saved their life. It just came to me. This was my answer,
Right. So,
that I was going to stay sober in AA for 3 million years
right.
and not get drunk and high, and I was never going to be a better person. And that is not true for most people. That's what was true for me.
Right. So once you started meditating and you started working on yourself, did the people around you, did they start noticing how your attitude has changed and maybe you got more confident, you felt more at peace? Did some of the people around you, how about the women, did they notice how you were from, you went from A to B? Uh, yeah.
Let's put me at A to A minus at the point we are in the story here.
Okay, that works.
So I was a couple of years sober and I wanted to date this woman who I had met near where I worked. And she was young and smart and beautiful and brilliant, and she was a student at Rutgers, and she was what we would now call a crunchy granola type. And I didn't know anybody. I was a different kind of guy. I wasn't that kind of guy, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
And she caught my attention and we became friends. And gosh, it's so embarrassing talking about this, but it's in my book, so it's not like I've not talked about it
Right,
before.
right, right.
Is I was talking to Lorraine one day, and I ended up seeing Lorraine for about 5 years, um, my first therapist. And in the 5 years, there's only one time I saw her remotely lose her composure, and this was it. She was asking me about this young woman. Oh, you want to ask her another day? Tell me what you like about her. She's smart, she's beautiful, she's fun, she's natural. Um, she's great with conversation. She makes good eye contact. And she said, but what's your favorite? When you really get excited about her, what do you think? And I go, oh my God, she has such a great ass. And it's the only moment, I am being blunt and honest. It is the only moment I saw Lorraine lose her composure. She just blurted at me without even thinking, women are more than body parts,
Right,
Michael.
right, 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 right. But you know what, though, Michael? Sorry, I don't mean to talk. But from guy to guy, I would tell you that I'm like, Mike, man, what a bot on this one, you know? So,
Right, exactly.
but a woman, yeah, she got offended. I get it, but yeah, at least you were
I know
honest. You were honest, though.
I was honest, right.
Yeah,
And what came of this is she said it with such force. And
yeah,
like I said, it was out of character for her to talk to me that way.
yeah,
So I was embarrassed. So I didn't ask her what it meant because I didn't understand. So I
yeah.
asked all my women friends in AA, and I was having in a diner one night after a meeting with two of them, and I said to them, listen, Lorraine said this to me the other day, and I don't understand what it means. And one of them said something, and I can almost do this verbatim. Michael, we are whole human beings. We have thoughts, we have feelings, we have jobs, we're whole human beings. We smile, we cry, we laugh, we have friends, we have family. We're whole human beings. And we're more than just what you want from us and what you want from our bodies. And if you, because you're smart and you're one of the good ones, if you can't get this, there's no hope for men being better. Because if you can get it, men respect you, they will listen to you. But if you can't, how are the guys who are still drunk in their basements, how are they going to be able to get it? We really need you to get this. So now we're bringing the story together. I
Yeah.
started bringing this into meditation. What does this mean? Women are more than body parts. And it haunted me in my dreams. It haunted me in my car rides. It haunted me in meditation. And I felt like it was right here. And how can I not understand this?
Right.
So I mentally tied a string around my finger, if you will, that every time I was flirting with a woman, I would make myself pay attention to women are more than body parts. And I wanted to find out what those other parts were. And that's what it was. It's not because they did something to me. It's because I searched to find these things in them. Where is their brilliance? Where is their skills and talents? Where is their passion? Where is their strength, their courage, their wisdom, their heart and their soul? I started looking for this. And when I saw this, I was like, holy cannoli, women are extraordinary.
Right, right.
And it bowled me over, Will. I didn't know what to do with that information, but
Right.
it blew my mind like, oh my God, how am I 30 something years old? And how did I not notice this?
Yeah.
And then what ended up happening is I did notice this. That's why I was friends with girls in my early stage of life and teens, because this was the thing that I loved and liked about them and wanted to be friends with them. Just all of those other voices and my hormones got in the way and I forgot.
Right. Wow. At least again, so you had the epiphany of knowing that these women are more than just their body parts. So that's to me, for me personally, and tell me if I'm wrong, you saw that as a healthy part of masculinity. They're more than just their body. They have a soul, they have a mind, they have feelings, that all that. So how did you bring that into today's world? Especially, how dating is. It seems like the even from the 20s to the 60s, the sexes are just battling each other.